All right. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in to another episode of Community Corner. It's your girl, Trae Holiday. And with me today, I have the amazing nurse, Nick, once again. So glad to have you back on. We will be doing some monthly segments, y'all, so watch out and stay tuned for those. And today, we're going to be talking about something that definitely affects the Black community in a major way. Blood pressure. I don't know about you guys, but when I get in that chair, I'm always like, let me calm down. Let me calm down. Let me calm down.
Stress,
before they take
stress.
it. Yeah, because I'm like, maybe I was rushing to get to the doctor's office or whatever, and I don't want that to be on my reading. So let's get right into it, Nurse Nick. What is high blood pressure?
That's a great question. So high blood pressure is the force of blood against your artery. And when that force is so strong and so constricted, it raises your blood pressure. So the best way to explain it is picture this circle right here as your artery circle, right? Blood is going through it. That blood goes to your organs, delivers oxygen, right? So when you have high blood pressure, let's say you're stressed out, okay? Or let's say you smoke, or let's say you drink alcohol. All of those contribute to high blood pressure. This is going to constrict your artery. So now your artery is going to be a lot tighter, and it's going to be harder for blood to flow through to get to your vital organs and to give your vital organs oxygen. So that is like the simple way of explaining what high blood pressure is.
My goodness. I'm so amazed every time they pull the thing out, and I'm like, oh my gosh, she's pumping it. And so I didn't realize. I really thought that it was something quite different, where it was like, oh, it's about how fast your blood is rushing through your body, which might be kind of what you're talking about, but I didn't realize it was so connected to the arteries.
Yeah, and the arteries are connected to everything in your body, so it's going to affect every single organ.
So technically, what is high blood pressure then? Like,
Well,
what are the ranges?
Okay, well, let's start with normal blood pressure. So normal blood pressure, we like to say, is anything under 120 over 80. So 120 is a number, a systolic reading of your blood pressure, and the 80 is the diastolic reading of your blood pressure. There's a lot of technical terms here, but I'll try to keep it simple.
Okay.
So when you go to the doctor and your blood pressure is under 120 over 80, normal, perfect. But then let's say you go to the doctor and the doctor's just like, oh, okay, your blood pressure is a little bit high. So the pre-hypertensive phase is going to be anywhere above 120 over 80 and 139 over 89. So that's going to be the pre-hypertensive phase. And you're not even going to know that you're pre-hypertensive unless you do go to the doctor and ask. So that's going to be the start. Stage 2 is going to be mild hypertension. That's going to be 140 over 90 to 159 over 99. Stage 3 is going to be moderate hypertension. That's going to be 160 over 100 to 179 over 109. And then the fourth stage is severe hypertension. That's going to be anything over 180 over 110.
My goodness.
And if you're over 180, that's going to be considered what's called a hypertensive crisis. You need to call 911 because you could suffer a stroke. You could be disabled from that.
Wow.
Yeah, because blood is not getting to your brain. It's not getting to your vital organs. The constriction of your artery is so tight that your blood pressure is so high. So,
wow. And so you're giving us some numbers. What do the numbers actually represent? Like the 120 over 80. Like, what is that exactly?
That's a great question. So with blood pressure, the 120 is the systolic. We call it systolic. And then the 80 is the diastolic. So when your heart is pumping and it's trying to get the blood through to your organs, when it pumps, like the 120 is going to be like, I guess I could say like the constriction. And then the 80 is going to be like when your heart relaxes. It's the diastolic pressure. It's when your heart relaxes. So when your heart is pumping so strong and it's trying to get to the blood, to the arteries, and to the other organs of your body, when the artery is like constricted, your blood pressure is immediately affected and it raises it.
Got it. Okay. So in this case, now we know it affects the African American community heavily. What are some of the statistics regarding blood pressure in the African American community specifically?
That's a great question. So in the African American community, 41% of African Americans have high blood pressure compared to their white counterparts who are only like 27% have high blood pressure. So there's a big margin, there's a big difference. And they say that high blood pressure, hypertension is a silent killer because you don't know. You really don't know you have it unless you go to the doctor and you find out. And because you won't have any symptoms in the pre-hypertensive phase, you're not going to have any symptoms. It's not until the very end phases when it starts to affect your organs that you're going to actually experience those symptoms.
Wow. And just I guess maybe in the like what are some of those like initial symptoms? Like, you know, if I'm suffering it, because I know I be working hard and everything, and if I'm suffering it, is it like, what would I actually feel if I was getting close to that like stroke almost?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. People have said like severe headaches, a pounding in the chest, irregular heartbeat, also blood in the urine, because, you know, it affects your kidneys too. You know, it affects your kidneys. Chest pain, confusion, headache. So blurred vision is another one. It'll affect your vision. So really, like, the thing with blood pressure is that it affects every organ in your body, and really you won't know that it's starting to affect these things until the very end stages.
So is that the same thing as kind of the risk factors, or those are what causes it?
Oh, okay. So if you want to talk about the risk factors, there is a multitude of risk factors, and being African American is actually one of those risk factors. Researchers have shown that there is a gene within the African American community that actually makes them more susceptible to salt. So along with that, you know, obesity is a big one. Salt intake, alcohol, tobacco, all of those increase your blood pressure. Even, and I hate to say it because I drink coffee, even coffee, you know, it's a stimulant. It's going to raise your blood pressure. And then again, stress. We don't talk enough about it, but like generational institutionalized racism, the stress of that from generation to generation. And, you know, being Black in America today, that's all going to affect your blood pressure.
So there are literally socioeconomic factors regarding blood pressure.
Absolutely.
And it's something that I don't know if the Black community realizes as much. So that's why I'm really intrigued by this. So you kind of talked a little bit about it, but if I do nothing, if I never go to the doctor, I mean, what really happens to me if I just leave it uncontrolled?
Ooh,
I mean,
girl.
You kind of said it like earlier. I mean, stroke, like what?
Yeah, you do not want to leave it uncontrolled because honestly, a multitude of things can happen. Like I said, it affects every organ in your body. So it's going to affect your kidneys, and you need your kidneys. It's going to help filter out, you know, toxins out of your body and regulate, you know, your water and your salt intake. But if your kidneys are affected, you're going to be holding all of those toxins in your body. You know, blurred vision is another one. When your blood vessels are constricted, your eyesight, you know, is affected by that. You know, so like a multitude of organs are affected, especially cardiovascular is a big one. Your heart, if your heart's blood vessels are so constricted that it can't pump and get the oxygen that it needs, you know, you could have cardiovascular issues, you know. Oh my word. And then you could have a stroke. You know, oxygen's not getting to your brain. Your heart's trying to pump and get the oxygen to your brain, but it can't because the vessels are so constricted. So, yeah, there's a lot that could happen.
So, all right, let's say, okay, you're on that path. You got some high blood pressure.
Yes.
Like, how can you prevent from getting to those maximum phases of high blood pressure? Like, what can you do? Early
Prevention. So definitely speaking with a healthcare provider, speaking with someone you trust. I know in the African American community, it could be challenging to find someone who doesn't have a bias. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And then you want to go into like a safe space and be able to talk with someone that can relate to you. So definitely finding a provider that would be able to do that. And if you don't have health insurance, I highly suggest to get health insurance. You could actually go to the Washington wahealthfinder.org or call toll free at 1-855-923-4633. There are representatives on the line that'll help you get Medicare insurance. And you know, even if you don't think that you may qualify, you never know. So it's really important to get Medicare or Medicaid because it's covered in Washington State, and we have some great programs.
That's good information.
Yeah, absolutely. And then also, when you talk with your provider, they're going to suggest things. So they may suggest like a lifestyle change. I hate to say the word like diets because I feel like a diet is just for a limited amount of time. A lifestyle and food change would be good. And then, limiting your intake with alcohol. Limiting your intake with salt, as well as exercising. Exercising is a key factor for your cardiovascular health and to keep you healthy. So I think a number of things will help contribute to a healthier lifestyle. And then if, of course, your provider says, you know what, I think that perhaps you may need to be on blood pressure medication, then he or she will put you on blood pressure medication. But what I highly stress that if you do take blood pressure medication, do not stop taking it on your own. Speak with your doctor about it, because a lot of times when you take blood pressure medication and then you go to the doctor and you say to them, oh, I'm feeling good. And your doctor's like, yeah, you're doing good. Keep it up. I've heard of people going back home and like, my doctor said I'm doing good, so maybe I shouldn't take these medications, anymore. The reality is you need to still take it, because if you stop taking it, then you'll have like what's called a hypertensive crisis, where your body will be so out of whack, your blood pressure will skyrocket.
Wow.
Yeah, and you'll just go back to stage 1, again. So you don't want to do that. You want to take your medication as prescribed and as directed. And if you have any questions, speak with your physician about it or your healthcare provider to find out what the best option is for you.
So there's a lot of different factors here. And to be honest, I'm so glad we're doing this segment, guys, because I don't know how many of you realize that your lifestyle choices on a daily basis can either prevent or contribute to this exact crisis that we see in the African American community. So for me, I'm now wondering, like, there's a lot of stuff that's been done kind of around it, but it feels like it's still not something that permeates, people's minds. What do you think we can do more or better to educate the community on blood pressure issues and how to prevent it?
I believe the best thing is being proactive with your healthcare. Even like if you're scared and you're unsure and you don't know, you're like, or you say to yourself, I don't have health insurance, so I really don't know what my blood pressure is. There are places like CVS, Rite Aid, Walgreens, where you could go to the local pharmacy, and normally right by the pharmacy, there's a little machine. You put your arm in it, it squeezes your arm, and it'll check your blood pressure, and it'll tell you right there. And then, if you feel like, hey, my blood pressure is really high, this machine just told me maybe I should go see a doctor, at least you're taking that first step. But even with lifestyle changes, like I said, like eating things with less salt, going to the gym, working out, limiting your alcohol intake as well as tobacco, because both of those things raise your blood pressure. And then, stress. I know stress, everyone has stress. I have stress. Right. And, it does affect your blood pressure. Trying to find ways to manage your stress, to manage your time, looking for maybe hobbies to kind of get yourself out of your mind. Meditation, I've heard works, exercise, yoga, just reading, listening to music, anything that'll get you out of your mind and to help you in a stressful situation, I think is a good lifestyle change. So,
well, I mean, you mentioned the machines at the stores, right? And I've always wondered, because I didn't understand what the numbers meant. I wouldn't have known. So do they actually showcase, like, on those machines, like, this is what high is, this is normal, so that folks actually can walk away from those machines and know where they stand?
They do.
Okay, great.
They do. Yeah. Great. So, I mean, it's a great way, especially, like I said, if you don't have health insurance, but you're wondering, like, in your mind, like, what is my blood pressure? Just go to CVS, Rite Aid, Walgreens, anywhere that there's a pharmacy. Normally they have those machines there. Bartell Drugs. Exactly.
The local.
Yeah. Exactly.
Start right here.
Yeah. And just start. The best way to prevent is to start.
And so I feel that, we're also touching on a subject, in the Black community where it's like, I don't know if it's a fear thing, like a fear type, like people just don't even want to know if they have issues. What do you think, how can we permeate that as well? Like in the end, it feels like sometimes, and it was always kind of characterized through the black man, right? And the black man doesn't go to the doctor and he doesn't see for this and that, right? And so I think some of it is like myth busting, like what we're doing today, just by talking about some of the things that can be done on your own to prevent this. But if you get to that place, it is going to be imperative that you seek out a health professional. So I thank you for bringing light to that. Is there anything else about blood pressure that we should make sure the community is aware of?
The best way for prevention is to know, like, where you're at as far as with your blood pressure, and to seek help. If you do need it, if you do need like a lifestyle change, if you do need medication for it, that's the best way to go about it, because you don't want to end up in a situation where it's too late, because it can lead to death.
And I will say that one of the great things about this community is there are several different ways for you to do that outside of just going to a doctor's office, right? There is the Center for Multicultural Health right on 12th and Terrace, I believe. So it's right here kind of close to us. And they have a lot of these kind of services for free. They'll help you with figuring out your health care. I think the health care enrollment was just in November, right? So is it still continuing on, right?
It's continuing. Yeah, it's rolling on a rolling basis.
So so it's like, they have people there that can help walk you through the process. Because sometimes it's daunting just going on, Washington Health Finder, and you're like, I don't know, and I'm just trying to figure it out. I remember I tried a couple of years ago, and it was like leaving a corporate job and being like, okay, let me try to figure this out so I can know what I need to do. And I was just like, what is this? There's a lot of different options, so sometimes it can get daunting. But there are definitely some people out there that can help support you along the way. Nurse Nick, once again, killing it with this nurse information. I mean, we need to know this, guys, because ultimately it is up to us to make sure that we are healthy human beings for our future generations. We do want to live long and prosper hard, right? So this is one way to do it. Thank you so much for bringing light to this issue, and I definitely think it's something that we suffer a lot in the African American community. So I'm just proud and thankful that this platform can help shine some light on blood pressure today.
Yes.
You guys, please remember to check out Community Corner. You're going to be seeing monthly episodes with Trae Holiday and Nurse Nick. We're going to keep on bringing you segments like this to make sure that our community is nice and healthy. Thank you for watching.
Thank you.